Welcome to week 20. Would you like to grab your cup? I don't know if you want to have a cup of coffee with me today, or maybe you'd like a nice beverage, or I definitely encourage water. That's also very good for you. This is a great topic, the anatomy of a strategic partnership. To me, there is no more satisfying relationship than that of an executive and assistant. And of course, that's if you have a relationship that really develops and flourishes. But not all do. When I think back to the 12 different executives I worked with over that 20-year period, I can honestly say that there were only 3 where I would say we truly had this synergistic relationship, and it was fabulous. Fortunately, I have a fabulous relationship with my assistant, Jasmine. We have a great relationship. So let's talk about the anatomy today. This is what I see. First part of the anatomy is the brain, okay? That's the skill part of your job. That's the day-to-day things where you both have to use your brains to manage time, to focus on projects, to figure out how to communicate with each other, to think about what is coming up in the next 3 months and how you're going to prepare for certain meetings and conferences and events and so forth. Then there's what I call the heart. That's when you genuinely care about each other. You care about each other's successes. You're happy for each other. You care about each other's happiness. And that's an important piece. A lot of times the heart is missing in relationships between executives and assistants. The third piece, I love this piece, and this is one that you may not be familiar with. It's the soul. And I describe the soul as using emotional intelligence when you're working together. Now that is different than getting emotional. I can't take credit for this topic. It actually is Daniel Goleman, who is one of the grandfathers, you might say, of emotional intelligence. And again, if you're looking for something new and what's really creating a wave in the workplace, it's this topic. But he says, emotional intelligence is the ability to sense, understand, and effectively apply the power and acumen of emotions as a source of human energy, information, connection, and influence. This is different than getting emotional in the workplace, which is not good. There are 4 areas or 4 dimensions of emotional intelligence. I want to quickly go through the 4, and I want to give you an example of how this would apply to an executive and an assistant. And maybe you can think about yourself and your relationship with your current manager. The first dimension is self-awareness. That means I know me. As the executive, I know myself. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses, habits, peculiarities, what I like and what I don't like. I also know how I react to certain things, the way I like to work, and other areas of my life. As the assistant, I know myself. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses, my habits, peculiarities. I really know what I like, and I really know what I don't like. So in other words, you know yourself, and your executive knows him or herself. The second dimension is called self-management. I manage me. So I can know me, but it doesn't mean I manage me. Here's how it applies. As the executive, I stay composed. I manage or channel my emotions and have self-control. When I'm interacting with my administrative business partner, I do my best to not explode, but sometimes it happens. If you're the assistant, you're thinking, I channel my emotions rather than get emotional. When my executive explodes, I know it's not about me. The third dimension is called social awareness, and that's when I try to know you. As the executive, I can see my administrative partner is having a rough day today. Maybe something has happened at home. I show sensitivity and try not to overload my business partner. As the assistant, I thank you for the feedback you provide. I know your intention is to help me be the best I can be. The last dimension is called social skill, and that means I attempt to facilitate situations for a positive outcome. As the executive, I step forward with my administrative partner to use visionary leadership and be a change catalyst. As the assistant, I move in tandem with my executive to influence others, to make the necessary changes. I manage conflict resolution and use diplomacy and tact in tough situations. I step forward as a leader as my executive is a leader. So, what happens if one of these parts are missing in your relationship? Does that mean you leave your job? No, of course not. You may be in a situation where you have to teach your executive what to do and how to build a relationship with you. The underneath it all part is that when you really work at building this relationship, when your relationship includes the brains, the heart, the soul, you have a more satisfying relationship. You're a happier person. You enjoy going to work. And there's a lot less conflict and stress in your relationship. What else? Well, if you're missing a lot of these pieces, or maybe there's one area that for you the heart part is really important and it's not for your executive, you have to ask yourself, is there enough here to keep me from leaving? Here's your activity for the week. I'd like you to answer these questions. What are some obstacles that stand in the way of you and your manager being a better team? How can you work through those? Also, if you're working with a group of admins through this program, why don't you share best practices and share the ideas that they have for working better together with their executive? Good luck. This is a great team relationship to form, and I wish you the very best.